My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we're going to dig into a really good topic around your metabolism and your hormones. So these are big questions that I often get asked. These are big buzzwords in our industry, and I think this is also a big source of confusion for a lot of women and men, if I was being completely honest. So today I want to dive into 3 big reasons why you need to reset your metabolism and your hormones in order to lose weight. So just remember all of this is in context for weight loss. So one of the big reasons is you've been a chronic yo-yo dieter. Okay, so this is the person who is always starting over on Monday. You're always looking at the latest, greatest diet, cleanse, whatever you can jump and get excited about, and then literally quit and feel even worse. So let's dive into a little bit about what's happening in that spot. So what's happening is you end up going into too far of a restriction. So let's say you add in some cardio to that, which is typically what I see is we restrict ourselves super hard. We go and do something like an Orange Theory, an F45, a workout that just leaves you drenched on the floor. And, you love it, right? You love that endorphin, that good hit that you get at the end of that workout. And man, you worked hard, like you burned a ton of calories. So we're already in a restriction. And then we go and we burn a ton of calories. Here's why this is a problem. So it has such a negative effect on your lean tissue that you actually can create more damage than good when it comes to your hormones and your metabolism. So what happens is you increase the stress hormones, not in a good way. So when we increase cortisol, sometimes that can be a good thing. That's an okay thing. So I don't want to completely bash this. But on the flip side, in this situation, what I'm talking about is cortisol is raised, which then increases overall inflammation. And so this doesn't create a good environment for weight loss. The other thing that I see happen is people are just walking around inflamed. Now, what do I mean by that? So a lot of times you don't even realize it. So a lot of times your gut is super inflamed and you think, the way you're pooing is normal or not pooing. And this is just time and time again. Or here's another thing, like, let's just lean into this. I talk to a lot of women who don't have regular bowel movements. You should have regular bowel movements. So that's an important thing. The other thing that happens is your joints are achy, or you easily get things like that. Now, listen, I have children at home who are younger, and I swear to God, every little cold thing they bring home, I'm like, what the heck? I should have immunity. I'm your mom. Like, I should not get sick. But that can also be another indicator of being too inflamed. Your stress response, you're not fighting things like you normally would. And now here's the deal. If you get the flu, you get COVID, those are like a little bit of a difference. Now, I will be genuine. We have had COVID twice, and thankfully the response that we've had, it wasn't that bad. I think Tony had one bout that it was like, oh man, this sucks. But, well, and actually I take it back. We did have Delta way back in the day, and that one was absolutely terrible. So this is something, but here's the thing I can tell you. When we had that, I was super inflamed. I was the heaviest I had ever been. And I know that's why we handled that illness way worse. So you want to think about this. If you've been dieting on and off literally all your life, you want to stop doing this. And so I'm going to pull this all full circle and help you with, okay, we can't solve all of this on a podcast, but hey, here's some things you want to consider. So it's really important to keep nutrition super stable. And so I will come back to this. But if you're on and off, you're restrict and then you binge, that's the next one that I want to speak into. So the second reason that you really want to think about resetting your metabolism, your hormones, especially in weight loss, is the restrict and binge. So very similar to the caloric deficit, then what I see happens is you binge. So this is something where I see women tell themselves this all the time. I have to be perfect starting right now. And so you start restricting your calories, not even realizing how deep you have them. And then all of a sudden, here's the thing, and this is what I know about women, is we have willpower like nobody's business, okay? Like we can put ourselves through hell and back and we just keep stomping forward, okay? But then here's what happens on the restrict and binge. Life is going to happen in some frequency, in some form. So you're going to get a curveball. You're going to get stressed. You're going to end up having something not go right. And the second that one little thing or potentially ginormous thing happens, all of a sudden we're eating every emotion, every feeling we have, and we're right back to where we started, if not worse. And so something that is really important is we want to realize that we have this pattern. So many women do not realize that they have this pattern. And so we have to understand what is actually happening. You're depleting your energy. You feel awful, but you just push through anyways. Your mental clarity just goes down. Your is completely affected. And when one little thing happens, binge, because honestly, you're genuinely hungry, but restricted so low that like rational thoughts, and I'm being genuine, rational thoughts just don't even come into play. This is where your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are completely out of sync. You're constantly fighting this willpower over understanding true hunger. This is something that I have to really work with women to understand. Are we just an edge of hunger? Can we just drink some water and work through it? Or are you genuinely hungry, like you have not had enough to eat, and so we need to fuel your body? That is something that a lot of women, I have seen them just be completely off when it comes to that. They think that if they don't eat, every 2 hours, that they're going to starve to death. And here's the thing, in our day and age and in our country, we're not starving to death. Okay? I've never seen food so readily accessible and available, which is a good thing, but it's something to really take note that an edge of hunger is not going to hurt you. You have to understand what is appropriate. Okay. The third thing that you really want to look into when you want to get things balanced, when you want to make sure that your metabolism is functioning at a high level and that your hormones are getting into a good state, is you want to look at your sleep. Are you sleep deprived? This is one of the most underutilized tools in balancing metabolism and hormones for weight loss. So here's the thing, gone are the days that we can pull our all-nighters, yet we'll stay up, we'll binge our shows, we'll finish those emails, and we will tell ourselves that I'm a night owl, or that I got to get this done, or okay, the kids are to bed, so now this is my time, right? I used to feed into that. Oh my gosh, I was terrible about this. And so we can't do this anymore, especially as we approach 40 and on down the line. What ends up happening when you don't get the sleep, don't give yourself the time to recover, to repair. This affects your metabolism from a growth hormone standpoint. your muscle recovery and repair. And then this also impacts insulin sensitivity. So this puts you at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes just by simply not getting enough sleep. And I know that sounds wild, but it's something that, we're not talking about this enough with this obesity epidemic, with all these people on all these different drugs. They would just get a little more sleep, not stay up all night, binging on whatever. And then honestly, let's be genuine. Very rarely does someone just stay up to all hours without consuming something, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's both. And so this is something that you want to really lean into. And also, don't get good sleep. Take note of this. If you feel snacky, if you feel like you're craving carbs or sugar all afternoon, this is 100% the stress response to your hormones from lack of sleep. So again, you get ghrelin and leptin out of sync. And this is where your body's pretty cool. It's going to say, hey, girl, you need this to keep yourself awake. When in reality, granted, you need it. But on the flip side, if you would have just gotten good rest, you're going to muscle through. Maybe you would drink some water. Maybe you'd grab yourself a tea or coffee, and you'd get right through. So this is why I feel so strongly about the way that I work with women. And it's very challenging when women first start in my program to not jump right into workouts, to simply get food really honed in, to get 7,500 to 10,000 steps. And here's the thing, I will tell you all day long, I fight women all day long to get these steps. And it is one of the most frustrating things to watch when someone just doesn't take 20, 30 minutes to be active. That is truly a game changer. And this is something that we have to do for life. So I'm always encouraging falling in love with this process. Our bodies are meant to move. And it's a good thing, and it's simple, and it's free, and it's available. And I don't care if it's 4 degrees outside. Figure it out with walking pads, treadmills, malls. Like, you can figure it out, okay? You just got to be a little more intentional. So here's the thing that I want to speak into, because we could try to solve all of this on a podcast. But this is why I feel so strongly about how we work with our clients. And I'm saying we because my husband is finally joining me in the online space. We've finally gotten things in our gym where he can have a little more time dedicated to coaching at a high level when it comes to coaching men. And I'm so excited because we really put together a full protocol of what it looks like to reset your metabolism, your hormones, and we put it together in a 12-week program. And so you can stop guessing. You can stop wondering, am I doing the right things? Because what we do is we customize nutrition. We customize what kind of movement and workouts are best for you personally. And then the best thing about it is we're going to hold you accountable with coaching and support. So if you are a high-driven professional, mom, dad, wife, husband, employee, business owner, and you just want to be a better human, you want to have more impact, you want to serve more, then you owe it to yourself to take personal responsibility and truly see what is possible with your body. See, so many times I see women go about 60, 75%. And if I'm being honest, I've done that in my life too, where I've gotten my body, good enough, right? And it's one of those things where I will tell you, go the next edge. See what you can do with your body. Don't just settle because you've never been this way and my God, it feels good, but it's still not quite what you want to see in the mirror. It's okay to get yourself a level of weight loss, feeling better, but then why not? Why not? And I can already tell you it's because of a story that you're telling yourself that you can't do it, or you're not willing to do the things, or that, I don't have to, my husband loves me anyways. Like, listen, I'm just going to be honest. Like, when your body's rocking, your husband's going to love you even more. So just going to put that out there. Like, everything gets better, okay? So just putting that out there, you can take that wherever you want to go with that. But let's just really speak into, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to wonder, am I doing the right things? Is this working when you have the right coaching and support? So here's the thing, before everyone goes down some wild rabbit hole to saying, I can't lose weight or my hormones are jacked, here's the thing. Nobody is telling you that, hey, you got to get your food figured out, okay? And it's really honestly not that hard. Also need to understand how to properly move your body, what kind of resistance training is appropriate and when is it appropriate. And then also we got to really lean into how to get a better night's sleep. Like this just doesn't happen. It has taken me years to get myself in a better sleeping environment. And if I'm being honest, I still struggle to always get 7 good quality hours. And I can tell you when stuff is on my mind. I can tell you when, a child comes into our room. I can tell you when a lot of different things are going on. What's very interesting when you pull alcohol out and then you add it back in just like in little doses, you're like, oh, damn, that really did impact my sleep. So it's one of those things where even now I'm starting to really question, like, is that worth it? Because when you have such a clear mind, think you process things better. But as a culture, we put a lot of emphasis on drinking. It's very socially accepted. It's what a lot of like parties and get-togethers and business deals are literally all wrapped around. So it's a very, very interesting space that it's either food or it's booze or it's both. So I want you to really lean into, am I doing all the things that I could possibly do to help my body? And now here's the thing. This was totally scratching the surface when it comes to metabolism and hormones. A whole nother layer to this conversation is talking resistance training. Resistance training will just absolutely change a woman's body. And I'm talking good old back squat, deadlift, bench press, and then some ancillary movements around it. So your back rows, your lunges, your RDLs, good old face pulls. I mean, really neat shoulder presses. Like you want to keep workouts very, very foundational and very simple because that is what works. And what's interesting is some of these women that I have been coaching now well over a year, like their bodies are totally different. They lost their weight. They've been lifting and it's just like, okay, I've been lifting. One lady told me this in particular. She's like, listen, I have lifted all my life, but she goes, not like this. And she was like, I cannot believe the difference in my body and how my body looks now, same weight as what she has been in previous, but obviously we lost some weight initially to get her back to where she was. But she was like, I am sold. She goes, whatever you put together, whatever this is. And so just to speak into that, what she's referring to is we're actually putting together programming that has progression. We're doing a program long enough to have the proper stimulus to the body and not too much volume. So people want to make working out like super complicated, or I have to be in a class, or I have to be going and burning 100 million calories. And I'll be honest, like in most of my workouts, it's getting through the movement, challenging myself with appropriate weight, but I am never left drenched on the floor. What's interesting is even my Oura ring, it's almost just down to a science that I barely burn 200 calories in that actual workout. But here's the thing, there's a post-oxygen, post-oxygen consumption that you will burn more calories the day of a strength training workout with weights long after that workout is over versus any bout of exercise. So it's something to get wildly curious about if you're on this journey of like, I just want to get in better health. Yes, your metabolism most likely is just jacked. Yes, your hormones most likely are off. I got you. but it doesn't mean that we necessarily need to be taking, injections or hormone, and here's the thing, I am not against those things either. Sometimes things do genuinely get wonky and we do need to dial that in. But if you haven't addressed these lifestyle things, that is going to be your first line of defense. So get really clear on what am I doing, what am I not doing from a consistency and an overall health perspective. If you're curious and wondering like, okay, I don't know if I am on the right track, this is where I would highly recommend jumping on a call. Got to understand where you at. If you're someone who's been coaching for a long time and you're still having questions, this is a perfect opportunity to engage your coach and say, man, okay, let's talk into this a little bit deeper. Like, so many questions need to be asked, and it's all good because you can work through things and better understand your body. This is why I'm like, and I'm just going to throw this in here, it's totally off topic, but like, this is why I love the daily weigh. When you daily weigh yourself, you have feedback. You have a lot of data points that help you better understand, here's what happens before my cycle, during my cycle, after my cycle. Here's what happens when I'm in the middle. Like, here's what happens when, I'm feeling great and everything is wonderful. And you get this cyclical chart that shows you so much history. It shows you what kind of foods respond how and how long, and like every time you dine out, because the scale will fluctuate every flipping day. Like every day for the most part. But it's important to understand the context and to understand that, like, because so many times, especially if someone is, well over 200 pounds, that scale can go up and down in wild frequencies. When you're in the 190s, the 180s, yes, it can move up and down pretty wild as well. Once we start getting into those 70s, 60s, then it becomes a little more like, okay, this is a product of all the things that I'm doing. And reasonably speaking, it just goes. We get into our 50s and, 150s, 140s, then it's like everything starts to matter when it comes to what we do. Even for myself, as I'm getting myself probably down to the lowest I've personally been, and it's just been a goal of mine to get hyper lean again, because I honestly just love the look. I love the look, but it's very easy to kind of just ebb and flow through it. I always tell clients all the time, we're going to find your like 5 to 10 pound threshold, and then we don't go over that. And so Arin found herself going over that, and it was like, okay, girlfriend, let's rein this back in. And it's always so interesting because I have to have these conversations with myself as well, especially when just gearing back up for leaning out, and just getting the desired look that you want. So I hope that this was helpful to speak into this stuff and understand that yes, metabolism and hormones can absolutely get trashed, but you have to consider the very foundational things. And if you're not consistently doing those, there is no reason to engage in blood work. There's no reason to go, into your doctor's office. I promise you, they're not going to tell you anything you don't know already on this front until you have tested this out for a good 2-3+ months. All right, let me know what questions you have. And if you're interested in our 12 weeks, our 12-week metabolism and hormone reset program, just holler at me and let me know, and see you later.